There is a lot of money to prevent new technologies from being implemented because it's a threat. And if you break the legacy system, it's just, you'd rather buy a company for like $250 million than ruin a $2 billion a year company, so you just kill that technology. And that type of stuff happens all the time. And innovation doesn't really happen until there's someone like really driven that's outside of money that just wants to go up and disrupt everything.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Okcoin Live, coming to you with Devika and Alex, part of the listings team. And today we have a very exciting guest for us. This is Simon Yu from StormX, a token that we're partnering with, and fairly recently. And we're Simon, just so super excited to have you on the show. So welcome.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me both. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, look, the first question obviously is, you guys are a new token on the block, more or less. So can you tell our audience a little bit about what it is that you guys do? How did you get involved? And we always ask about how you got involved in crypto, but maybe now the right thing is quick blurb on crypto. How did you get involved in StormX? Like, what got you to build this new project? So just educate us.
Yeah, absolutely. So I mean, to take it back a little bit, yeah, we started in 2014 with my co-founder Calvin. Um, we both sort of have a background in college where we had to work full-time jobs and sort of fund everything, and so both of us kind of we're always strapped for cash, and so we know what it was like to be hard. It just it was a lot of work, and the value of a dollar, a lot of people might just take it for granted, but man, when you're trying to do like full-time education with just trying to pay for rent and food and all this stuff, it was really tough. And so for me, like as soon as I graduated college, I ended up going straight into banking because I thought, a lot of money, etc. Like I thought that'd be the best. I hated my job.
Fantastic.
Yeah, hated my job. It was so boring, nothing creative, etc. But then I started reading a lot about Bitcoin, and it was really fascinating because like it kept coming up on the news because of all the bad stuff like Mt. Gox and Silk Road. But I started looking more into the technology and I thought, wow, this is going to disrupt payments. Like, I think banking is done for. Like, I know how inefficient all these banks are, all these policies and all these, just like everything was so inefficient. Technology was outdated. And like payments could be sent for like a couple of cents, which was like truly fascinating for me. And then my co-founder Calvin, he had built this app where you could earn like 2/10 of a penny in Bitcoin for just watching a short 30-second ad like video. And at first I was like, like who's gonna use this? It's kind of dumb. It's such a small amount of money. But then the user numbers kept growing, and what we've really figured out were sort of two things, which is one, like even if it's a small amount of money, there wasn't really a platform out there that allowed users to be able to easily earn. And then two, because transaction fees were so low, you can have a global audience, like global user base for even small amounts of rewards, which traditional services can't do because sending fiat is just so expensive. You have wire transfer fees and foreign transaction spreads and all that stuff. So yeah, I joined Calvin, and then we decided to create an app where let's just find all these different ways that you can help users earn money through a single platform. And so we launched the app. It took us a while. Like back then, there was no crypto VCs or angels out there, so we bootstrapped for a few years. I had another side business selling food, like Korean tacos at a food truck. So I put all my savings from there to this business, and eventually we built like a micro task service where you could do like surveys, check out different products and services, and earn crypto that way. And then we launched the shopping platform, which we're focusing mostly on now, where you can shop and earn crypto cashback by shopping at like Nike and Expedia and all this stuff. And we're launching a debit card service as well too, where the cashback rewards are also much higher than traditional cards. And so all of our goals, like all of what we're doing, is focused on just giving more dollars back to just like the average person. And so that's sort of how we got here. Yeah.
That's awesome. So I have a question before we get into anything else, and I think this is the most important question of the session, which is, so how good were those Korean
Oh, they
tacos?
were they were amazing. Yeah. I'm a little biased, but
When
they
do
were
we get?
amazing. Yeah. No. Yeah.
So I mean, that's really fascinating, and I guess you kind of touched upon this a little bit, but what I'd really love to understand is, why should any user choose to look at like crypto cashback versus fiat
Yeah.
cashback?
Absolutely. So I mean, like one, I think whether you use us or Rakuten or Honey or whoever, you should definitely use the cashback service because it's literally free money. like these cashback services, they go out, to negotiate with deals with all the brands and then to get you the best rates. And so, like for the like brands, instead of spending marketing dollars to try to acquire customers, they're just spending a little bit less on the wholesale price to give these cashback for a kickback. And so it's a good deal for them as well too, because it helps them generate sales. But the reason why you should use us over some of the fiat competitors, for example, too, is because we have just the traditional cashback rates, which is virtually same across all the cashback platforms. But we also integrated our token, which is now going to be on Okcoin. If it sort of acts like an airline mile program, where the more tokens that you accrue, you get higher cashback rewards, and also fast and able to withdraw those cashback rewards faster as well. So imagine like you can get 6% from Expedia as a base rate member, and that's across like all the
Wow.
different platforms. But as a diamond member, from StormX with enough tokens, you can get up to 21% cashback. And this is across like all these bonuses, like up to 250% bonus is like on all of our stores. So like Nike, Expedia, we have eBay, all these other stores. It's really helpful. And so that's the primary use case for the tokens. You can also stake it as well too. We also recently launched a governance side of things as well too. So people can vote on product decisions. So like which token should we add on the app? Like which store should we do like a double bonus? Like there's lots of different product decisions that the users can make, which is pretty rare because you don't really see corporations like Apple or Google saying like, hey, like we want to hear what our users think and have our users actually decide on what we should do. And so for us, like we're building the app and products for the user, so we want to get most of the input as possible and help evolve.
I have a question. In light of some of the current fiascos in the market where CFI companies were chasing yield and the big deleverage that we recently had, I think a lot of our customers or a lot of people out there are skeptical of any kind of yield or percentages or promises, like 21%. Just so I think these questions will come up. Whatever you can tell us without leaking too much alpha, although we all love leaked alpha, is how do you get how do you make people comfortable with the yield, so to speak, right? And how do you guys think about generating the yield, distributing that yield? Where is it
Yeah.
coming from, right? What's the business model?
Yeah, absolutely. A couple things, right? So one, we're completely non-custodial, so we send users their crypto funds to other wallets or exchanges like Okcoin, for example. I think that was the biggest risk in terms of CeFi, right? Because they were holding all your coins, and not your keys, not your coins, right? And then now some of these guys are arguing that all the customer funds are technically ours, which is the biggest BS ever. Like, that's actually a robbery, which is complete BS. And so we've been in the blockchain space for a while, and we really respect people's own choices. And so yeah, one, we're non-custodial. Two, our yield is like the staking rewards are tokens, and we've mentioned this plenty of times too. We actually started off at like 50% rewards, and now we're at 6.5%. So it's more of a user acquisition tool to get more people into our app, to get to the membership tools and stuff like that. And we're constantly decreasing it based on the number of tokens that we had reserved for this pool. So it's not like a forever program. It's meant to be just like, hey, like we're doing an extra kickback. It's sort of think of it as like a marketing campaign to get more users involved. And that's why, our TVL has been constantly increasing even throughout the bear market. More people have been using the app. Our monthly active users are at all-time high this year. And then like just in terms of the tokens locked up in the smart contracts, it's at all-time highs as well too. And so we're not like playing with people's funds. We're not using like collateral to like lend to shady hedge funds and stuff like that. We're literally paying out of our own pocket to help drive more users. And so that those two things are probably the biggest things. And then some of these these CFI companies definitely over leveraged in terms of risk, and we're not transparent. So that was I think is probably the big downfall as well. So
That's good to know. I'm totally sold. I mean, where do I sign up, right? So, I mean, I actually already have signed up. So, so I
David's
guess if I
leaking some alpha now. Oh,
I,
you didn't
well,
make me sign up.
well, I only signed up. I don't own any StormX tokens yet because I'm waiting for it to come on
There we go.
Okcoin.
There we go.
You can buy some. But I guess that actually goes perfectly into my next question, which is, how do I even sign up for these tiers? So if I have 10,000 StormX tokens on my Okcoin wallet, like how are you going to know that, and how are you going to give me back the right cashback?
Yeah, so right now it's primarily through Web3 wallets. So you do have to transfer it to like a Trust wallet or MetaMask or a Coinbase wallet or something, and then once you connect your wallet to our app, we'll be able to have read-only access where we can see that you actually have 31,000 tokens. So you're a silver member, and that's how I read it. So, and in the future, we would love to integrate with Okcoin's API as well. So if you're just holding balances on Okcoin, we can detect that right away from our app and just create a seamless experience without users having to spend gas fees to transfer out and stuff. And again, it's all about the user's choice, right? So whether they want to hold it on an exchange or tokens or other stuff, it's totally up to them.
What about like when you think about your commercial partners? We talked about airlines. What categories of partners do you guys have, and why did you guys choose those categories?
So right now, I mean, in terms of the merchants that you can choose from our app, it varies like all over. We have like eBay, like Expedia, we have Adidas, Nike, we have Macy's, like Bananas Republic, like Buffalo Wild Wings. It's really all over. I mean, it's just like any good brand that people would use on an everyday basis. Like we'll add it. And then for the merchants, it's really about driving more sales too. So I really like our business model because sort of everyone wins. Like typically, like a SaaS company, like so software as a service. You're B2B companies, you're trying to force sell people into signing up to like 1 year long contracts that they might overpromise or something like that, and at the end of the day, like the consumer might not be happy about the service, and like you're trying to that's why you get so many annoying emails in your inbox, right, in your work inbox every day and stuff. But
I'm constantly unsubscribing to
yeah,
everything.
me too. But I mean, for us, like so there's three parties involved. So there's us, there's the merchants, and there's the users. So the merchants give us a discount, which think of us as kind of like Costco. They give us a wholesale rate because we help them drive a lot of sales. We turn those discounts into extra cash back for the users, and so the users make extra cash. Merchants drive more sales, and then we take a small commission. So everybody sort of wins in that scenario, right? So right now, like you know, merchants are also struggling recently because like Facebook was like and Instagram were primarily like the good like ad source revenue for a while, for like a decade almost. But recently with Apple's privacy policy changing, you can't segment your users anymore, so it's not as effective. And so now it's the CPI is a lot higher, and so it costs them a lot more marketing dollars to try to acquire new users. So then that's where we can help. Where like, hey, just people just want to get good value, just get good deals, and just give us a couple 100 basis points, and we'll do all the work. So
I want to ask a follow-on, David, and then you. I promise. I just want one more
Go for it.
because
yeah,
Simon is omitting something. We're gonna call him out on it right here live on the air. You're omitting the coolest partnership that you have. It's the Portland Trailblazers, man.
oh yeah.
Like that is an amazing. Can you tell us a little bit about that? How did you get hooked up with the Trailblazers, and what are you guys doing for them?
Yeah,
What are
The what?
trailblazers? What are trailblazers?
Devika, it's an NBA team, Portland. I grew up watching them. Clyde the Glide
yeah,
Drexler. That was back in
Oh,
the
I have
90s.
no idea. I mean, I know the LA Lakers, and that's kind
Oh,
of
okay.
it.
yeah,
Well, basically, Simon, what she's saying is you got to sign up. The Trailblazers aren't good enough. We got to go for the Lakers. You got to go
yeah.
for LeBron and
Oh wow, no, you'll be
And
surprised. The
yeah,
Blazers have a lot of young talent. They're gonna be pretty good in the next
Rip
few years.
City. Rip City,
Yeah,
David. That's what you
exactly,
got to
Rip
know.
City.
Rip City.
Yeah.
no, I mean, I used to play basketball as a
Oh
kid, which is hard to believe if you've ever met me in person. But
wow. Point guard. Yeah.
David is a solid 5'2". I'll tell you.
Yeah.
like five, if that.
5 foot. Oh wow.
I was a point guard till they realized I wasn't growing anymore, and then they kicked me out of the
Yeah.
team.
Oh man, I'm in the same situation too because I love playing basketball when I was a kid, and first or second grade we're all like the same height, and then all of a sudden like few grades later, like all my I live in a very Caucasian town, all my Caucasian friends grew a foot taller, and I just can't compete anymore. So I love being competitive and I love playing sports, but I just like, all right, I think I'm done here. And then I kind of stopped playing sports as much after high
I
school.
think I think I think the next business idea is an Asian sports team.
Yeah, or there are, I think, like 5'9" and under like sports teams and stuff. I have heard of stuff like that, but I've never
I don't
done it
know.
myself.
For
I don't know. You joke about an Asian sports league, but have you ever seen street basketball in China? These guys can
Oh yeah,
ball. I mean, these
that's
guys
true.
are so,
Yeah.
so good.
Well, I mean, yeah, I mean, even the street ballers, though, if you try to play with like actual NBA guys and stuff, you
Yeah.
get wrecked. So, but yeah, the Blazers, it was super interesting. We actually, so we're the jersey patch partner for the Portland Trailblazers, which is an NBA team for the background. But we actually, were looking into that deal like way before all these crypto companies started doing all these sports deals. And so, like, now FTX like sort of marked up all these sports deal prices. So we would definitely not do it in today's prices, but like the way that we were looking at it earlier was we sort of need like crypto has a credibility problem for sure. There's so much crap out there with all these meme coins and like all these scams and stuff like that. So whenever you mention like, oh hey, we're a crypto cashback company, they hear crypto and they're like, oh my god, it's some sort of Ponzi or trying to steal my funds or like some sort of shady thing or something like
You're not
that
trying
too.
to steal my
Yeah.
funds?
No, we're trying to give you more money. We're like, I don't know if you ever watched a Burger King commercial with like the reverse pickpocketer, but it's pretty funny. But we're like that. But for us, like, so some of the other traditional cashback providers like Honey and Rakuten are also doing NBA, jersey patches as well, and it's been a pretty good marketing for them after we did some research and we started getting involved. Like we wanted to learn more, and so we started talking to a couple NBA teams. And then out of the blue, the Blazers team just reached out to us, and they're like, "Hey, like, you know, we have a jersey patch open. Like, we think it might be a good fit. Do you guys want to, talk?" And we're like, "How did you know we were already talking to NBA teams that were interested in this?" This is kind of like it was just a coincidence kind of thing. But after talking to multiple teams, the Blazers really felt like family. Like we could definitely feel some of the other NBA teams were just trying to sell us on their services because they just want money from us. And we tend to not partner with companies that one, don't really drive a positive ROI for us, and two, just it, there's no relationship there. It's just like just straight up just business. And so the Blazers, like from all the way from their C level down to all their business analysts, like they were really trying to help us with our objectives and grow our users, grow, etc. And so
That's awesome.
yeah, and so that's why we ended up picking with them. Yeah, we've just finished year one. We're about to enter year two, and this is it's so far been an amazing partnership for sure. Yeah.
So, do we have any courtside seats reserved for StormX?
We don't, but we could definitely get you some really good seats if you guys are down to watch a game. Yeah.
I mean, I'll fly
Yeah,
over.
yeah.
Alex,
Let's do it. I mean, it doesn't have to be Portland or wherever you guys are at. If there's a Portland game anywhere, we'll make
New
it.
York.
Oh, okay, let's do it. Then we should.
Oh,
We should go to
Madison
New
Square
York.
Garden. Let's go. I've never been, so yeah.
You know, I've been to New York.
I've never been to Madison Square Garden. I've been in New York for ages.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah,
It's happening.
the Garden.
We're deciding on live TV or live YouTube, whatever we call this. Like, Alex, Simon, and I are going to go to New York, and we're going to go to Madison Square Garden, and we're going to get really
I
good
love it.
seats.
Find
Yeah.
us there. I'm gonna look up some Portland games.
Yeah.
Well,
Some Storm.
what?
I said I'm going to wear some StormX
Yeah.
Oh
swag.
yeah, we're gonna totally represent. While I'm looking up the schedule, because of course we're gonna make this happen. Can you tell us a little bit about how did you go about? So one of the things that we always wonder is, look, how did you go about choosing? Tell us a little bit about the tech, right? How did you choose where you sit, how you're coding it? How did you choose the blockchain parameters? Because
Yeah, why your own token? Why not Bitcoin?
Yeah. No, this is a great question. So we actually started off as Bitcoin only rewards back in like the 2014 and stuff like that. And what ended up happening was, okay, that was fine for a while. It was like it was like 2 to 3 cents a cent transactions, dirt cheap, right? Bitcoin was like stuck at $300-$400 range for like 2 years. And then all of a sudden, like end of 2016, beginning of 2017 started happening. Bitcoin started going up very fast. A lot of attention. A lot of people started using it. Transaction fees became way too expensive for what we were doing in terms of our business model, which is like micro rewards. Like we're sending like a few bucks, right? So when the transaction, like we actually ran into this kind of like, this is like January or February of 2017, we actually ran into this like oh crap moment where we were sending out $6,000 of rewards in 1 week, and it was going to cost us $10,000. We're like, oh crap, like what do we do? And then we had to send like a warning. I mean, it's like like a push notification to all of our users and emails and saying that, hey, sorry, the transaction fees are super high, so we're going to do like a monthly transaction kind of thing. And so that gave us some time, and then we pivoted to Ethereum. So we started sending tokens on Ethereum, and then ETH was at $10 for like the longest time, and then it started going up to like $430, and then all of a sudden, it was like there were only two assets on Coinbase, right? So it was Bitcoin and ETH, and then ETH started pumping, and then transaction fees started going up because so many people were using it. All these companies were starting to do like crowd sales, etc. And then ETH was not scalable anymore, so we're like, okay, we need another solution. And then we decided to create our own token because we actually have a patent on this too. Because we like figured out how to batch transactions, and we figured out how to utilize off-chain as much as possible before going to on-chain. So we minimize the transaction fees, and then we launched StormX there, and we launched on the ETH network because at the time like that was like the only thing available. But even with some of the like layer ones that are coming out now, or even like the last bull market too, like accessibility is really important because our target audience is primarily Web2 users. It's not really Web3 like DeFi native. And so if you tell them like, hey, go into a layer 2 solution after doing 10 steps and transferring tokens,
Open
yeah,
MetaMask and
nobody's going to understand how to do that. They barely understand how to like access a wallet. And so when you have like good layer 1 solutions that might scale faster in terms of a TPS perspective, but they don't have many wallets or exchanges that they're onboarded, it becomes really hard for people to use. And I think that was like one of the reason why Stellar didn't scale back in the last bull market. Like they were, super scalable in terms of TPS and everything, but none of their token projects could get listed anywhere. And then everyone ended up bailing and going back to ETH. And so like those are some other things that you have to think about from a user perspective. And I mean, you can go to our app and StormX or Chrome extension or whatever. You'll see we'll put a lot of detail into user experience because definitely one of the biggest barriers to adoption with crypto right now is just how difficult it is to use um, just like crypto products in general. Like I've been in this space for like 8 years, and like 2 years ago when DeFi summer came, oh my god, I had to literally spend like 3 months just like going and reading a bunch of like docs and blogs and YouTube videos and like how does all this work? How does LP mining work? And all this stuff. And it took me a really long time to learn. And this is, like I'm supposed to be an expert, but I had no idea what I was doing. Like how are you supposed to get average Joes on like doing these kind of products as well? So yeah, so I mean, that's sort of why we built the token and why we built it on ETH as well.
So what about, I mean, a lot of people say that even tokens built on ETH, like ERC20 tokens, like the transaction fees, like the gas fees is just too
Yeah.
high. Given that you guys are doing microtransactions, like how are you dealing with that even with ERC20
Yeah, so
tokens?
we're like batching and we're taking a lot of it off chain, and then we're only hitting on chain when we need to, like very minimal transactions. So we built a proprietary tech around that. But at the end of the day, I do think we will shift out of ETH eventually. We'll see how 2.0 launches, but yeah, but I do think that like in the long run, like ETH definitely had a strong market share in terms of like they were like the AOL for the internet. Like 90% of all the internet users were dial-up users were using AOL. But then you get more competitors and more people, just like you get DSL and cable coming through. You get like Comcast, Xfinity, like all these other services, and it's just it's a rat race, right? So layer 1, there's a lot of potential. There's all these companies that want to build on it. So ETH is not going to be the only option anymore, and there's going to be better solutions in the long run. So we're just keeping an eye open right now and trying to see like what we should look forward in terms of long-term scalability. So yeah.
Yeah, I think at Okcoin we see a lot of layer ones coming out and a lot of layer twos for ERC, I mean for Ethereum as well. And as you said, there's a lot of really exciting projects that we've been looking at. Some that come to the top of my mind is like Zilliqa, for example, right? Like great product. We're waiting for that scalability to hit so that there are more apps that are built on
Mm-hmm.
Zill. And the market does move away from Ethereum if it
Mm-hmm.
needs to. But then, yeah, we just listed optimism.
Mm.
So, we're pretty optimistic about optimism and all of the other layer
Yeah.
twos. So waiting to see what
Yeah.
happens
It's an
there.
interesting market, right? Because Algorand is another one that comes to mind that's having that tech is fairly good, but
Hmm.
is sputtering a little bit with the ecosystem. It just there's probably a Uber thesis. Maybe we can have this conversation some other time, but
Yeah.
about whether more layer ones are needed or do we kind of have enough at this point, right?
Yeah.
And it's just about picking the winner,
Yeah.
or it's gonna be some sort of combo layer one, layer two, and maybe
Yeah.
layer three.
I mean, it's just early, right? So it's a rat race, and we don't know who's going to win, whether it's going to be layer one or layer two. But someone is going to come out with the perfect user experience, perfect integration, wallets, exchanges, everything, and then they're going to dominate the entire space market share. And then 5, 10 years later, someone else will be the king of the hill. As you know, it's just the circle of life, right? So yeah,
Circle of crypto life.
yeah,
Um, so look, you're creating a chain. It's interesting. Maybe one question for you is outside of StormX, which is you're the CEO, so it's an important token for you. When you think about the ecosystems, do you ever think Bitcoin with a layer one or layer two, I guess, on Bitcoin, like a Stacks or others, can get to the same place that the Ethereum ecosystem can get to, right? In terms of scalability, usability. It sounds like you were maybe a Bitcoin maxi or these before, and then you
Nice to know, G.
no, I wasn't a Bitcoin maxi. I mean, I'm very open to all technology. I'm very open minded. Like new things come out, like you adapt, you learn, and you have to be flexible. Like I think I've definitely in the early days, I still have some friends that are very heavy maxis, and so we're kind of drifted apart in terms of our thought process. But um, it's harder for Bitcoin to get to that stage because of the lack of funding, right? At the end of the day, in order for technology to evolve, you need money to build resources. You need to get smart talent, like to recruit from some of these other top companies that are paying large sums for developers. But as a nonprofit, like, yes, you might have some companies like donate and stuff like that, but is the ROI as high as building your layer one, for example? And then there's, the VCs would probably back a new layer one solution versus funding a Bitcoin project, for example. And then that's the biggest challenge, right? So I mean, for me, like I still believe like Bitcoin's going to be the digital gold. Like it's going to be a great store of value, but like in terms of like actually achieving or Satoshi's vision of like payments and stuff like that, I think probably not. It'll be much more harder. I mean, I do see like Lightning and stuff being utilized in some South American countries and stuff like that, but like even that, right? You need marketing dollars, and who's actually going to spend money to do like sort of charity work for Bitcoin and helping that adoption, unless you're holding like a very very large bag and you want to see more adoption in that aspect. But I think it's just the resource constraint is the biggest challenge.
Yeah, I think that's really interesting that you say that. I mean, Alex and I went to Bitcoin 2022 in Miami, and I think you were there
Yeah.
as well. And I went for a couple of the talks and the kind of presentations. And I think to your point, I think ecosystems grow when there's money pushing it. I do see that with Bitcoin, there is a lot of money behind
Hmm.
Bitcoin, right? And the Bitcoin maxi story. And I think to your point, it might be people who hold a lot of Bitcoin who are really, bullish on its future. Um, but I think, as we're looking at commits on GitHub, for example, right? Like Ethereum is just by far blowing it out of
Yeah.
the water. Um, and I think Stacks, for example, is a really cool project, and I think it's something that once they develop their ecosystem, will really be able to take off and tap into kind of the story of Bitcoin. Um, but I think it remains to be seen in the next couple of months what's happening
Yeah.
there. So I wanted to switch gears a little bit for a second and ask you a little bit more about just crypto in general. We're talking about whether we're bullish on Ethereum or Bitcoin, but what tokens are you really bullish on when you're looking at the broader crypto ecosystem?
I try not to speculate on individual tokens. I think like it's weird in this space because scams pump the hardest. Like it's kind of the weird, but they also crash the hardest too. It's just I think there's very different opinions in terms of like what you would buy in order to get an ROI versus like what you actually believe is like fundamental. In terms of like where we're headed in the direction, I do think that we're gonna see like a local bounce. I think a lot of the recent selling off, the last, there was a lot of reasons why we sold off, like Luna and 3 Hour Capital, all these stuff. But then the recent one was Celsius, selling to repay back their maker and Alve loans and stuff like that. And, that ended. So there's no more like forced selling on that front. And then from the macro side, it seems like the market is starting to price in that the Fed will start easing rate hikes in like Q1, but seems to be getting like sooner and sooner. So, I think Burr's going to come back because like the Fed right now has been trying to replicate what they did in the 80s with Volcker, but it's very different, like where interest rate hikes won't really solve the issue because we just printed 80% of all the US dollars in the last 2 years. Like inflation's here to stay. And then they're going to soon realize it. And I think that's what the market's starting to realize as well, is rate hikes will only just lead us into a recession. And it's not going to solve anything. Like this is a permanent damage. We got to live by it. Just, start bring back the easy money in a bit. So it's just US dollar, just I don't know, like the dollar is strong and stuff, but this is why we got into Bitcoin in the first place, right? It's just unlimited printing causes all these side effects, and we need a better source of money where, so whether it's a gold standard or Bitcoin or whatever it is, there's something better that actually has fixed supply, and where, if you're saving money, you shouldn't be punished for it. You should be, that value should grow, not eaten away at inflation at 9.1% or whatever the inflation rate is. So
Yeah, I mean it's amazing that I look at the US dollar, and it's crazy for me. I'm an international, but I see that the US markets are crashing, but the US dollar gets stronger,
um,
but then there's also inflation at the same time. So my US dollar is stronger against everything else, but it's lesser value against itself from last
yeah,
year. And it's kind of like fascinating and confusing at the same time to just look at this market and not really, I mean, I did a lot of macro and micro classes, but it's just fascinating from a general perspective to see and understand how the system was really set up. And it just, to me, fundamentally, it doesn't really seem to make a lot of
yeah,
sense.
makes no sense. But I mean, it just also means that the other countries are struggling more than the US, which is unbelievable as well, right? And the whole system's, yeah, I mean, the whole monetary system is broken. I mean, I
The euro was at 99
right.
cents, 9 cents to a dollar, right? Which is
Yeah,
crazy.
and I do think within our lifetime, we're going to see a massive crash in our current monetary system, and there's something new that's going to be created. And whether that's Bitcoin, I'm not sure. I hope it is, but something will definitely have to be replacing our current structure because it's not sustainable. We can't just keep printing money without long-term consequences. Yeah,
Yeah, it's outside of the macro policy, they because you say you talk about the dollar, it's like the cleanest dirty shirt. It's a fairly common saying, but it's pretty true.
Exactly.
So can we? I want to shift gears a little bit to talk about the debit card, the rewards card that you guys have. Can you tell us a little bit more about that, and you know why the card? Why do you need a physical? Why do you need a plastic device? Is it do you see more conversion with customers, and how did that enter the picture?
yeah. So I mean, we've done a lot to allow users to be able to earn StormX tokens, and then with the debit card, it'll be much easier to spend it. By loading it into your debit card and being able to spend those balances. But for us, like we do have a lot of these merchant relationships and stuff too, and so I mean, we think we can do a better job than a lot of these banks can, and so we're providing much higher cashback. And again, we're adding more utility to it by if you have more StormX tokens, you can get upgraded to higher cashback tiers, and you can get better rewards. And so like our best like one of our big perks is like up to 8% on Amazon if you're a diamond member, and like 5% for a base rate, for example, which is pretty good because Amazon doesn't even offer that on their own cards as well too. So we do realize there's a large spread happening between financial institutions, and then our goal again is just like, all right, let's put more money into the people's pockets, and then it will scale users. And then it's sort of like Facebook's approach when they first started. Like they didn't have any ad revenue until they got to like 1 billion monthly active users. Then they started turning it on. And the logic is that if you make $1 for 1 billion users a year, then it's already $1 billion revenue company. So, for us, let's just create a good, valuable service to users that people find benefit. And then our margins don't have to be that aggressive, but we can, you know, grow in the future through other different platforms and stuff as well too, as we just gain a lot of users in general. So
So how does it work? So is it, I have a debit card, and then I have an app on my phone, and then I open my app and it tells me in US dollars today based on the StormX token value, if I have 1,000 tokens and every token's valued at $1, for example, I have $1,000 to
yep,
spend.
exactly, yeah, and then you get cash back based on where you shop and stuff. So yeah, it's and then it's more of a concept like that's popular in Europe than here or Asia. It's neobank. So like our generation, or even one generation above us too, like we don't really go to banks that often, and like the only time you really need to access a bank is through an ATM to pull out cash. But it's also kind of annoying to have to find your own ATM, right? To like, like if you're Chase, you just have to find your own Chase to not incur that expensive fee. But if you could get rid of all the infrastructure, I used to work as a teller for Bank of America a long time ago, and I was so inefficient, and they were trying to automate, and they were even trying to shut down branches and training tellers to tell customers how to use the ATM. But if you don't have physical buildings and all that infrastructure, you could just pass the cost savings to the users, just waive the fees, let people just withdraw from any ATM they want. It's such an easy concept. And then the neobanks did a really good job, especially in Europe. If you look at their apps and stuff, it's beautifully designed. Like you can do like virtually anything on an app. You don't have to call the bank. You could do like everything just straight up through the application, like all your banking services, and that's where we're headed towards as well too. In the U.S., I mean, the tech in U.S. is still really early, but
Why is that?
U.S. is always like 5 to 10 years behind on tech. I don't know. You've probably been to Asia a lot too. Like you see, like
I grew up in
yeah,
India.
like you go to like Korea or like Japan or something like that. Like you look at all the technology, like it's just like holy crap, like US, for example, like I was talking about this in another interview too. Like we finally got Ring like doorbells, like the cameras, like 5 years ago or something like that, and people are now starting to adopt it. Like those doorbell cameras in like Asia have been around since like late 1980s. Like it's absolutely amazing. Like all these like like if you go to China, like no one uses cash because everyone just uses QR codes for payments for everything, and it's like all through WeChat Pay, it's through all these apps and stuff, and like even the most basic things are so futuristic in Asia. But it's just there's
Like B Day
there-
is
yeah,
my
I
favorite.
think here there's definitely a lot of lobbying, and also larger corporations that acquire smaller corporations because there is a lot of money to prevent new technologies from being implemented because it's a threat. And if you break the legacy system, it's just you'd rather buy a company for like $250 million than ruin a $2 billion a year company. So you just kill that technology, and that type of stuff happens all the time. And innovation doesn't really happen until there's someone like really driven that's outside of money that just wants to go up and disrupt everything. But when you get to like later stages, that's when the lobbying comes, and then they try to out regulate you and stuff. And it's just the corporate world is pretty dirty. And if it wasn't so like competitive driven, and this like we would definitely see better technology come out. But in Asia it's sort of a different approach, right? Like everyone's competitive. If you don't have the latest technology, you're not going to survive. And so it's a very different mindset. So all the like Samsungs and LGs or whatever, all those big companies have to constantly innovate on not just phones, but like even like refrigerators and like dryers. And like refrigerators is like some of the craziest stuff I've ever seen in my life. Like it's just absolutely like ridiculous. Like you have like milk cartons and stuff, and like it's like it's gone, and then they'll just order you one automatically, and then it'll be in your front door in like 2 hours. Like freaking
Wow.
amazing. Yeah, just
I need to move back. Alex and I were talking about this. I was like, I need to move back. I was like, if I can keep my job, I'll move back to Asia.
Man, just stay in the US, stay in New York.
yeah,
We need you here, David.
Only for the game. Only for the
Yes.
game.
only for
See,
the game. Yeah,
Simon, basically you created this amazing thing, and then after the game, Devika's leaving us. So
yeah.
it's the birth and death of Devika's US, like the culmination of the height of your US stay.
It'll be the highlight.
That's
Um, so I guess just to go back to the debit card for a second, as a user, if I'm you said like a Web 2 user, I have this debit card, I have these points and these tokens. what happens if the value of the StormX token crashes?
Yeah, so right now that's sort of the experiment, right? So it's very volatile, so it's up and down. We do plan on rolling a feature where you can have the option to put it in like a stable coin, and so just being able to go back and forth. Right now, I mean, we have like 26% of our entire supply that's locked up, and our goal is to not like have any speculators come in and try to like buy the tokens for the purpose of speculating. We want people to actually buy the token so that they'll use it, right? So like if we have like 100,000 people that are like that have like 10,000 StormX tokens, that's like the entire supply. So it's just like that's our end goal. And so if we can maintain, keep growing, like I think we should be fine. But yeah, we'll. I mean, it's definitely an early version that we'll be launching pretty soon, and we'll keep making iterations based on feedback. And again, it's just it goes back to like what do the users want, and I think that's where also governance is really important too, because like, do you want this feature? Or like, if you're not, like, we shouldn't build it because ultimately we're building the products for the users, regardless of what we think.
And that's exactly what crypto is all about, right? Is like getting user feedback, actually building for the people, by the
Yeah.
people.
I think. Listen, I'm kind of want to give Simon some Okcoin case because as you guys are
Let's
talking about this, I'm thinking like just like New York Knicks versus Portland Trailblazers. Okay.
It's the only thing on your mind. All right, you gotta let me know when the date is. I'll fly to New York. We'll go watch. I'll try to get us.
it's
I'll
happening.
try to get us the courtside seat.
Maybe we'll get one lucky
That's what I was gonna say.
Mm,
That's what I was gonna say. We should talk after.
okay,
Here's the real alpha.
sounds fun. Yeah,
We won't promise anything on the air because we want to make sure that we're non-financial advisor,
Yeah.
research, all that good stuff. But maybe
yeah,
actually, this could be an interesting idea, Simon.
yeah,
Just to put a little bird
yeah.
in the air, so to speak.
Oh, we've
Yeah, I
done.
think people
Yeah,
should check it out.
we've done plenty of giveaways before too. So yeah, we're happy to do it.
That'd be kind of cool. So why don't we go to okay, not okay? But we'll come back. Our audience will just watch us on Twitter. Devika, me, or okay coin, Simon, or StormX. We'll come out shortly here and see if we can do
That's
something together. That'd be kind of cool. That'd be kind of cool. Um, but because this would be a different giveaway than anyone else. People are actually we love to do when we do giveaways with projects. By the way, the ones that work the best are the ones that actually get people to use and appreciate what
Mm,
the token. So I think this is going to be an incredible way of potentially doing it. Anyway, we don't want
yeah,
to hold you to anything. We would never do that to any one of our guests, but we
yeah,
should talk afterwards. If we can make it happen, let's see if we can. So.
yeah.
Okay, not okay. I got the first one. We used this one last week and it was so good I want to use it again. Strawberries in salad.
Not okay.
Oh, come on.
I don't know. Maybe
So
I haven't tried it, but it's just like my initial like taste bud reaction was like, oh, that sounds quite
it's
gross.
sweet and salty. It's like a party in your
It's
mouth.
like a party in your mouth.
All right, I have the next one. I have the next one. I'm gonna, I'll say learning about crypto on TikTok.
Oh, that's tough because there are good ones. That there's 80% of it are bad though. So like, I would say
Do
okay
you
because there are some good ones there. I can't. It's not all bad. So yeah.
I like this.
have good ones?
Okay. Here's the other one. Uh, you're gonna kill me. But here we go. Cardano executing smart contracts, or I should say, no, we won't talk bad about it. We won't say anything about competitors. Let me change my
Think of another one.
cold hot chocolate.
Okay. Yeah. It still tastes sweet. Right?
Look at Devika's face.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think about like what is cold hot
You heat
chocolate.
it up
Just,
and then it just kind of cools down. It's
If you, yeah. If
chocolate.
you,
Just chocolate.
just chocolate. It's basically a reformed bar.
Yeah, I mean, chocolate
Like
is
those
okay, but
Viking
not.
energy drinks. Have you guys seen the triathlon athletes? They have this little, it's like a little
oh,
pouch. And it's like this
it's like
gel. And
super
then,
dry and stuff, right?
yeah,
Yeah. But I mean, if you put a couple of ice cubes in like hot chocolate, it's actually not bad too. I've tried
yeah.
it before. Yeah.
I'm really judging you guys
Yeah.
right
Because
now.
one time I didn't have hot water, so I just put room temperature water with hot chocolate powder or whatever, and then it was like really gross. So I put some ice cubes, and it was a lot more tolerable.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing.
I mean, when we go to the game in Madison Square Garden, I'm gonna go get hot chocolate afterwards. You guys
The
drink your
real one.
cold chocolate.
Right.
You know the Madison Square Garden amuse bouche, the little that beautiful chocolate they sell. He's like chocolate, chocolate as they walk down the aisles.
Okay, I'll do the next one. I'll do the next one. Um, Shopping before because you get more cash back.
Shopping before you get cash back.
Shopping more because you get more cash
Ooh,
back.
I would say okay. You can stock up for later, right? So
The more you buy, the more you save. That's the old
yeah,
that.
it's also like I come from a very Asian immigrant parents, and my parents would stock up on like 2 rolls of toilet paper, just from Costco, and like we would go through those for like 2 years, and they would still buy it just because it saves them like 20 cents. And I'm like, where the hell are we gonna put all this?
In your room, that's
Yeah,
where walk into Simon's room is just like a giant castle of toilet paper.
yeah, yeah.
Okay, I have another one. Well, this one's gonna be easy. DCAing into the market.
Oh, okay, yeah,
I'm gonna do another one, David, because that was a giveaway.
yeah.
That was a giveaway. Um, so here's one. Uh, Reading white papers. Actually, not okay, not okay. Let's do this. Must do or okay to skip. That's what I'm gonna change up on you.
Mhm.
Reading white papers of all the projects you invest in.
I would say okay to skip just because there's been so many people that bullshit on their white papers, and then so for me, like I've definitely been rug pulled many times too, like throughout the years, and you can sort of see their behaviors better through like live chat, like whether it's Telegram or Discord or Twitter or something like that. And if they over promise you something, it's definitely like too good to be true. And yeah, it's just like whether I mean I could probably talk about one of the biggest cryptos that crashed. They edited their white paper midway when something was not looking right. Like so, even though people read
Wow.
it in the past, like it wasn't actually what delivered. It's just things change and stuff too. And then that's also the thing too. There's also legit companies. I mean, we had stuff in the white paper too, but we changed some of our roadmap and product just based on like market conditions or like our partners not doing well or like just demand not being there and stuff too. And I think like having a roadmap that's more fluid is definitely more effective than just like a white paper. It's like, hey, we're gonna do this for like 5 to 10 years because no one actually sticks to it, even if you're legit. So
Okay, so I have a quick question before I get into my last okay not okay, which is there's so many Discord communities out there. Every token has
yeah,
one. They are so active. I try to look at them and I just honestly, I personally just cannot
yeah.
keep up. So if I'm interested in tokens and I'm interested in more than one or two tokens, like how do I actually follow what's happening? Like is Twitter a reliable source of information? Like where do I go so I'm not like
Yeah,
trawling Discord every 6 hours?
I mean
And Alex,
that's such a hard part. I think. I mean, I use Twitter for a lot of my information as well too, but then it really depends on who you follow. Because some of the top crypto influencers, they're obviously paid shows, but they don't disclose it, and they're just trying to dump on their followers, which is very obvious to people that have been in the space for a while. But then to some of the newcomers, like really got to be careful. Some of the YouTubers or some of the top Twitter influencers and stuff like that that promote some shady illiquid token or something like that. Like it's just like you really have to have your own gut and just do a lot of due diligence. But even at the end of the day, you could still get rug pulled. I mean, I invested in projects where they were backed by the top VCs and they just ran away and just closed everything and like no one ever heard from them again, kind of thing. Like it's always tough. So I mean, so just always reward or risk. Don't put all your eggs in one basket and just diversify enough risk. And the more that you have sort of you know your time and resources allocated, the more time you should spend on due diligence as well. But even then, you can't get everything perfect. And like I said, Discord is really hard. Like I can't go into all the channels and doing it. I do like what does help me is like I have like a bunch of groups that I'm in. Like I have a close group of friends that are really really smart and just take feedback from each other. What do you think of this? What do you think of that? And just learning from really smart people. So
Well, look, Simon, thanks so much for coming on. Speaking of Twitter, For those that want to follow Simon, Simon Yuesea, like Seattle. So at Simon SEA. And StormX is at stormx.io, right? Is that, did I get the Twitter correct?
StormX IO. Yeah.
StormX.io.
Yeah.
Perfect. For me, Mr. Ibida, Devika at Mital Devika, and Okcoin at Okcoin. So follow us all. We'll come back to you guys with a potential promotion here. But otherwise, anything else you want to tell our audience about where they can find you, where they can? I think we give the Twitter stormx.io is the website for StormX, so go check it out.
Yeah.
And it'll be coming soon to Okcoin. So anything else, Simon? His last words, the
Uh,
final statement.
I mean, whether you buy the token or not, you should download the app. We have on iOS, Android, or Chrome. It's free crypto, especially when crypto's so cheap like this. Like just from buying stuff you would buy anyway. So yeah, it's free alpha.
Oh,
It's free alpha. Yeah, Devika
Devika
has it.
showing, for those of you just
that's
listening,
it.
Devika showing her phone with the
Yeah,
app. There it is.
yeah.
There.
There it is. That's the one.
All right, Simon. Thank you so much for coming. Really appreciate it. Thanks for the great partnership.
Yeah.
We'll talk to you soon.
All right. Thanks so much.